Hi, I'm Musby. I'm teaching paragliding for quite a long time. Lately my occupation are paramotors. I'll try to find a way how to painlessly switch between a back paramotor and a trike. Why? The very moment I decided to start flying with a motor, a paramotor, I got myself this set. The very moment I put it on my back, I said, no way, I'm not going to run with this over 70 pounds, 35 to 40 kilo on my back. It's a little bit too heavy. But still, the set is okay. So I didn't want to change it. I didn't want to buy a complete trike. So what I decided to construct a cart that could take my backpack. I just can fit it to it and I can fly. Easy said, easy done. My constructions evaluated. First I started with metal, now I'm making them aluminium. A prototype of this cart weighs 20 pounds with very small wheels. But the very small wheels give a big traction and it's quite difficult to take off on a grassy field. So I decided to make bigger wheels. The bigger wheels weigh a little bit more. So now this construction weighs, it's about 30 pounds, 15 kilo. 15 kilo is nothing more than a full tank. So it doesn't change nothing. The great thing about those little trikes, those little carts, it may be quads too. The great thing is you don't have to get rid of your backpack paramotor. You just stick on it and you take off. Well, that's the problem. The takeoff on a cart. What are the cons and pros of flying on a trike and flying with a backpack paramotor? Well, the backpack paramotor gives you a feeling of more freedom. You're more loose, you can balance, more or less everything is great. There is less equipment to put in your car, that's sure. It goes faster to put it all together. These are the pros. What are the pros about a trike? Well, first, you don't carry the weight. If you have a small paramotor up to, I don't know, 30 pounds, 15 kilos, it's great, it's not bad. But if you're in my age and you have a big machine like that is very heavy, walking, running, and the worst, landing, it's fucking dangerous. So there's no problem. No problem with landing. You can land in any direction of the wind, of course, with a certain knowledge. If you go against the wind, everything is correct. If you go with the wind, you have a big landing speed, but you're on wheels, there's not a problem. The problem is when you're landing side to the wind. As long as you're in the air, everything's okay. The moment the trike touches the air, it attaches the air. It's hooking to the ground. When it touches the ground, hooked to the ground, the glider goes sideways and you may tilt, you may fall down with your trike. So it needs learning. The best thing is to do, just land against or with the wind. Okay, it's not a big problem. The thing is taking off. The pros of the trike, yeah, we can take off without lifting the weight. We can go down without risking our legs. But the cons, we have more equipment to put in the car. This is the thing. But the most important thing, there is a slight difference in taking off. With a backpack, it's like free paragliding. You have the possibility to move sideways. We usually like to start with a backpack when we have some wind. Why? We don't have to run so much, right? But in this case, we cannot move forward. So if we make corrections on the glider, we have to go sideways. On the trike, it's great when we have zero wind. The long takeoff is not a problem. We can take a long takeoff, we've got wheels. The problem is when we start against the wind. It goes slow, either it stops, sometimes it goes backwards. With the wheels, we have no possibility to make the correction on the sides. The trike will not move sideways. We have to move it forward. So that's why it's very, very, very important to prepare the glider, the paraglider, exactly in the axle of the wind and take off exactly in the axle of the glider. That is very important. If we keep that in mind, there is no problem, right? The other thing, we have to move a little bit forward. So the moment when the glider stays over our head, we have a stronger wind and we cannot make side corrections. We can do only corrections with the brakes. The important thing, we have to observe the glider. But sitting in a trike with a helmet and all the construction behind our house, behind our head, is very difficult to look upwards, right? So we look onto one side, always on one side. We watch the edge, the stabilo, we watch the edge going up. If the edge is going up at a certain height, okay. If it's touching the ground, that means the glider is going a little bit on one side. If we don't see the edge, that means it's gone on the other side. Our reactions are with the brakes and with the change of the direction of the takeoff. If we move forward, we go always under the glider a little bit, right? The rest is with the handles. And a very important thing, when we start taking off with the cart, we have to concentrate and be ready to switch off the engine. If we don't like something, we see the edge goes up, it goes down, too much, switch off the engine. So the first lessons will be taxiing, driving with the cart on the field without a paraglider, and concentrating on switching off the engine at a certain time. We want to switch it off, we switch it off. Blank, blank, we switch it off. That is the more important thing. Now, as I said, we cannot move freely with our head. We can look sideways. But if we look sideways, we don't see what is in front of us. That's important. During the starts, during the takeoffs, the first takeoffs, we don't look forward. We just look at the side. So, first we have to find a field that is open, no obstacles, nothing on it, so we don't hit anything. We know that if we drive forward, we don't hit anything, so we don't bother about that. After some time, when we get used, we look one eye here, one eye here, one eye here, one eye here, then when we're up, we take off. But the first exercises is taxiing without the glider, just watching our hand one side. We choose the side. Is it left or right? But we watch one side. We don't look forward. Of course, we can find some other ways of exercises. There are possibilities to tow all the set, all the trike with the motor, to tow it with the car very slowly against the wind. Of course, we don't put off the motor. We tow a little bit, we put up the glider, and we stop. The thing is that the driver in the car has to be an experienced paraglider, paramotor pilot, because he has to observe what happens to the glider. Do not do that with somebody who doesn't fly. It might be a very serious accident. So, mostly, I advise not to do that. The other thing what we can do, we can train the putting up of the glider with somebody behind us who's pushing it. We don't start the motor, we sit down, and the person is pushing. It's pushing against the wind. If we have some wind, the glider stand up, we control it, he's pushing us, we just go, we taxi with a little speed, and that way there's a possibility to do something. Good luck. One of our first exercises will be driving just the trike with the motor, no paraglider, taxi. What's important? If we start with the trike, we must remember the trike is very, very unstable. It goes very easily on the side. So, how we taxi? We go forward, we have a certain speed, but we don't turn roughly. If we turn, we tilt over. If you want to turn or turn around, stop it. Stop it, turn the wheel, give a little acceleration and start very slowly. Remember, most of the problems in switching between backpack paragliding and kart paragliding is the problems in the beginning. Most of the people, they break the propellers. Why? Because they taxi too fast, they take the turn, they fall, and they break the propeller. Right? If you have a possibility to start the training with a four-wheeler, with a quad, do it. It's much more stable. Afterwards, if you decide, you can always drive a four-wheeler, or you can switch to trike. Trike is okay, but you have to learn how to taxi it, right? Now, let's talk about the equipment. That means what we need to change, what we need to adjust. When I started constructing trikes for backpack sets, everything was simple. Just made it and it went on. Well, the first problem that appeared was when I was taking off, the stream of the propeller was hitting the glider. The paraglider was prepared for takeoff. The stream was hitting it. So what I found out, that it's very important to have the possibility to tilt the angle of the propeller. The propeller has to have a certain angle so the stream goes up. If you choose a trike, check if there's a possibility to tilt the propeller. You would say that flying with a tilted propeller is not correct. You're right. The moment you take off, the balance makes the propeller in the exact position. Why? Because you have to balance your set, your trike with the propeller. You have to hang it up and balance it this way that during flying the front wheel is a little bit up. Why? The taking off and the landing is possible only if the two wheels on the back, they touch the ground first. If you start taking off and you still drive on the front wheel, go sideways, you're down. If you're landing and your front wheel is first, it goes sideways and you're down. It's very important. So we have two things made. First, when we fly, we balance our set this way, that when we fly, the wheel is still up and the propeller is in the correct position. When we drive, the propeller has the stream upwards and we drive this way. This is the right thing. As you see on this trike, it's only the lower frame and the wheels. There's nothing here. You're not attached to the construction of the trike. It's not a flying craft, the trike. The trike is only cart for transporting me. It has nothing to do during the flying. I am still flying attached to the carbines of my harness. Everything is the same. So that's why it doesn't need very much balancing. And the other thing, many haters on YouTube, on the internet say, oh, what you're doing things that will kill people. You're doing crafts that's gonna kill people. Look, they're not flying crafts, they're just wheels. There is no construction where I am attached. I don't have to test the strength of the construction. I don't have to think about if it's the right material. No, because you still fly on your harness. The cart is not an aircraft. It's just a trolley. Just as well you can unstitch it and go without it. So please, those people who are not happy about those very low budget, very cheap trikes that I make, they cannot harm. Of course they are tested. Even they have amortization. When you run on the field, a bumpy field, and you have no amortization, most of the trikes don't have, the front wheel goes sideways. If you drive with something that has springs, it goes very smooth. So as I said, those sort of trikes, either you have my trike or you look for a trike where there's no construction, that you're still fixed to your own harness. Next thing, very important, you have to fix this sort of holders. These things here, they're gonna hold the lines. When you're starting with a backpack, the lines went up. They were traveling round this construction and everything was okay. But when you're taking off the trike, you've got wheels here. And the lines get mixed up with the wheels. So that's why we put them from the attach moment, we put them here. And when they take off, they start from here. If you have a possibility to change your cage on your backpack set, change it. First, what is important? The propeller should be hidden inside, at least on the line of the edge. It cannot be outside. Why? Because if something goes wrong and the glider falls, the lines fall on the propeller. And that way, if the propeller is hidden, it's protected. The other thing, very often it happens that when the takeoff doesn't work very well and the glider falls, it falls on the engine. The engine is hot. It can melt, it can destroy the paraglider. So, if the cage is a little bit deeper, it's much better. The other thing, the trike and you, it's all very heavy. It may happen that you fall, that you are tilted sideways. In that case, if you have a very lightweight, a very delicate cage, it will not protect your propeller. No way. And that is still very important. It may happen even if you're very, very experienced, anytime. So if you have the possibility, change it. So first we start taxi. We start driving. We go forward, we stop, we turn, we go forward, faster and faster. We watch what happens with the cart. The next part will be, we'll be watching one hand. In my situation, it's the left hand. That means I'm watching my left hand, and on the other side of my left hand is the stabiloid, the tip of the paraglider. Should be there. So I'm training driving without looking forward. Faster and faster, keeping the speed. And the third part, it's a simulation of taking off. That means I simulate like having the risers and the brakes in my hands and the accelerator. And this time I have to watch on the side all the time. If these things go right, we can start to take off.